Hello everybody and welcome to another tier list video where I, your disheveled goblin host, am going to go through and rank the covers of the anti-goblin propaganda series, The Lord of the Rings, starting with the original publication and moving on through. Now, this is not every Lord of the Rings cover. I want to make that clear. There are literally hundreds of them out there. If someone wants to make a complete tier list and send it to me, I'll make a part 2 of this video where I do a deep dive. I've included a couple of the more fun trivia-based covers here, some of the worst, a couple of my favorites, and we're going to go on and have a nice discussion. And please feel free to do your own version of this and send it to me on Twitter. I always enjoy seeing other people's rankings. A lot of people did it for the last tier list video, so that was a lot of fun. Without any further ado, let's start ranking the Lord of the Rings covers, starting with the original, the ones Tolkien designed himself. Immediate S tier for several reasons, right? Like, one, I'm not going to bash the covers Tolkien made, and he didn't do a bad job. When an author designs their own covers, it's not usually great. But we have minimal, yeah, it's not like incredible art that's like photorealistic and it's like depiction, but no. It's pretty damn good for what it's supposed to do, and I think it conveys the tone and the content of the series exceptionally well. The author knew what to communicate, and he accomplishes that magnificently. Now, but currently in circulation, we're having almost a retake. It's in circulation now, going to pretty much any bookstore. You're gonna find these more gothic looking ones. I like that it's paying homage to his original Fellowship cover. I think it's neat looking, it's fine. So I'm gonna leave it in B because I give it credit for doing something that's for the original. I kind of enjoy the black, but I also don't think gothic vibes are the correct kind of tone for a Lord of the Rings cover, so I'm a little bit conflicted there. Overall, it's B, and I'm happy with that. Then we have my least favorite covers that are not movie covers. I did not include any movie covers because you know exactly where they'd go. D. These ones look like movie covers for some 80s low-budget, awful take on the Lord of the Rings. I hate these and their representation of the character. D tier. There is not really any redeeming quality for these ones. Sorry for the artist if you watch this. I'm sure you're very talented. I just don't like this one work of yours. Okay, now it's time for a controversial opinion. I'm gonna throw a spicy take at you. These covers get a lot of hate. I've seen multiple lists online that say these look like a nightmare fever dream. They're not beautiful. It's not communicating the tone of Lord of the Rings. I agree with all of that, but booty butt, it's still beautiful. I actually really like the nightmarish quality to these, and especially as these covers subtly transition into Mordor and that nightmare feeling becomes more prevalent, I think that's just earned. Mordor should be a nightmare. The warm colors and vibrancy to these as well definitely stand out from any other covers I've seen, and I just really enjoy them. And I'm gonna put them in A because I think they're kind of cool. I just like them. Fight me, it's art. You can't tell me I'm wrong for the art that I like. You can't, you're not allowed to. Moving on. This is one of the just single covers I found for a complete Lord of the Rings edition. It feels more Narnia to me than a Lord of the Rings in tone, I guess because it's like a portal through some woods into I don't know. It looks more Narnia appropriate. It's not super creative. It's not doing anything I appreciate in any next level way. I think this is bare bones without being bad. I do want to give a special shout out to these little playful creatures at the bottom. It's a small detail I do really enjoy. It's acceptable without being bad, so I'm just gonna leave it in C and dust my hands off and walk away. I like these ones. Stuff that's able to go boldly in a new direction for Tolkien, yet still looks appropriate and I appreciate is great. It doesn't feel like Lord of the Rings art to me, yet it still shows me Lord of the Rings in a way I can appreciate. It's like seeing another person's vision of what the series could be, and I'm fine with that. So I'm actually gonna say they're slightly better than the current circulation. Then we have probably the most memed on Lord of the Rings covers I've seen. These communicate cocaine to me. Someone who was on cocaine was asked, can you make Lord of the Rings covers? And they went, yellow, red, and blue. Yeah, they're definitely different. But again, this kind of 60s kooky appeal, I'm down. Mom, now is not the time to call me. Decline. I'll call you back. I love you very much. These ones are actually from an unauthorized printing. I think that makes them even cooler. So for me, these are top A tier as of right now. I know. A lot of people hate them. I like weird in my cover. I'm one of the people who praises 70s classic campy sci-fi covers all the time because of how fucking zany they are. So it just appeals to me in that similar sense. So I'm digging it. Next up, we have these ones I found and I couldn't find like a story behind that like explained what these were, but I appreciate them. They're obviously Peter Jackson inspired. Maybe this is just like some fan creation. If so, I like your fan art quite a bit. But if these are actual covers in circulation, I'm going to go buy them. I'm probably going to put them middle of A. No, I like the weird. I don't know. I want to put them below these weirder ones. I'll put them right in the middle of the two weirds. I'll put them right there because it's like the Peter Jackson inspired, but it's not just like movie photo, which I appreciate. It's just taking scenes and actually putting an artistic overlay, and that's an accomplishment I'll always respect. These next ones are obviously trying to go for the original like Tolkien inspired art appeal, but even in a more pulled back sense, and I just don't think this accomplished what it was trying to set out to. This is borderline boring for me. So I'm going to put this in bottom of C. I wouldn't be mad if I had these editions, but they'll probably be the ones I like give to friends that I'm like, I don't care if you don't return this quickly. So I appreciate editions where they essentially do the same thing 3 times but recolor them. Some people trash that as just like, it's lazy, give me new art. I can see it done well, and here is an example of that. It doesn't like evoke a ton of emotion from me. I enjoy the colors they chose. It feels appropriate. It's not over the top. This is like a safe Tolkien cover. Does that make sense? Like if an artist was hired to make a Tolkien cover and they felt a lot of pressure and they're like, I don't know what to do, I'm gonna go with what's expected. It feels like they would create this. They did one, they did it well, and they were like, all right, now reprint it 3 times in different colors. I'm safe. No one will be mad at these. And I think that's what's accomplished. These ones I have an interesting thought process on. Why does Treebeard look so sad? Like, Treebeard looks like he just found out his house burned down while he was at work. The other 2 pieces of art I think are really nice and beautiful, but the expression on Treebeard I find like mildly upsetting. Overall though, very nice art. It appeals to me a lot. It feels very Lord of the Rings pre-Peter Jackson, and I think it accomplishes it very well. I'll put it middle of the road B. It has a little bit of a weird appeal because mainly of Treebeard's face, but overall I like it. These ones I've seen be quite popular. I've seen a lot of people praise these. I don't love them. I don't know why. I just look at them and I think, yeah, that's a standard Tolkien cover that's doing its job. It's not bringing any emotion out of me. It just looks fairly meh. And all these like little like peephole ones where you're like looking through a little hole to look at the art, I always get mildly frustrated because it feels like there's more art and I'm not able to see it because it's like covered, and I want to like look beyond and be like, I want to see more. Let me into your world that you drew. But then someone overlaid a red canvas with a hole cut out and it's like, do some peeping. I'm going to put these top of C because I think they're better than these ones, but I'm just not in love with them. Same thing with these. I get frustrated with this, except we don't even have a nice color. It's just beige, although I do think the art is slightly better. There's kind of like a classic appeal here, but I'm not crazy about it. I'm just gonna go ahead and leave it C right there. These ones are a very common printing. I've still seen in a lot of like used bookstores. Obviously pre-Peter Jackson, very evocative to me in terms of making me wonder like, what is this world? I'm gonna put them probably right over, probably top of B right now. I actually really like these ones. The big wall especially, like that to me kind of implies a story. You wouldn't put a big ass wall there unless it's gonna be used, and that promise is kept, so yes, I'm a fan. Okay, now we're finally getting into some weirder-ish, like campier, classic fantasy-looking ones that just don't do it for me as well. The colors are a bit too bold and clash with Lord of the Rings for me. I know saying that when I praise the other ones is kind of weird, but hey, it's the honest vibe I get. The art just kind of looks very standard. While the original Lord of the Rings covers felt different, it felt like it was setting a tone. These ones to me feel like they're following the typical fantasy cover path, which Lord of the Rings should not do because it's the path setter. So it's strange to see a cover that feels like, to me, it's just going back and enjoying a trend that's a trend that resulted from its existence. Does that make any sense at all? So I don't know. These ones I'm going to probably put middle of the road C. I'm okay with them. I don't think they're horribly offensive. I just would never really want to own these. I'll actually put them below those. They're better than the bland ones. Okay, these boys you've seen probably a lot. There's tons of people who have these on their shelves. These are, I think they were only available in hardback, And these are some different looking art that a lot of people associate and affiliate with the series now, and it's for a reason. It's gorgeous. It's very different looking than a lot of the stuff we've seen before. So for these, I'm actually going to put them above the weird ones. I just appreciate them on an artistic level. They are very world building in a sense that to me is absolutely justified for Lord of the Rings. Like, these paint a picture of a landscape that you want to explore, and these books are going to deliver on that opportunity. It's just like such a vivid vision for this world, and I think it's going to entice any reader who somehow does not know about the series they are representing. So these Alan Lee ones might be the ones I appreciate the most on an artistic level, above any others. They are just such a vivid realization of the story to me. I can just feel Alan Lee is a tremendous fan of the material he's working on. Again, maybe he isn't in real life and he's just that talented of an artist, but as someone who is a fan, this feels the most like I am getting someone's real imagination coming to life on a cover. We have a monster, we have a battle. It's so chaotic and cluttered and yet somehow concise and clear. That picture of the two towers evokes fear from me in a way, and it plays with light so specifically. Shelob being there is just this presence, this fantasy element that is not so bold. It takes you like a second to fully process what that is, but once you do, oh, it wants to drag you in. What's the story here? Even the Fellowship of the Ring cover here, just having this building nestled in nature. Ooh, it's so cozy, it's so warm. And you put the three of them together, and it tells a story. You have a place of comfort descending into chaos and battle. Oh, yes, love it. A story depicted in three, and each piece is a magnificent representation of what's in the pages. Then we have this. It's interesting. This is like the opposite of the artist I talked about where they did like the safe pick. This is an artist who was tapped on the shoulders like, we need you to do Lord of the Rings. And they were like, I got this. Minimalist and abstract. It's not horrible. I see something. It evokes some form of epic feeling from me, but by no way, shape, or form would I look at this and think, that does justification for Lord of the Rings. So I appreciate it. I wouldn't mind owning them for almost just like a, hey, look at this. This is what someone did for Lord of the Rings. Isn't that kind of neat? I totally understand people who aren't going to think this is beautiful at all. I think there is an appeal to it, but if this is just not your style of art, you're probably like repulsed by it. So I'm going to leave it bottom B and just say, yeah, I think the artist has some cojones for presenting this for a Lord of the Rings cover, and it definitely stands out from the crowd. But beyond that, I can't give it too much. Next up we have, I believe, Alan Lee covers again, and I appreciate what's being done here for the second and third book. We have the first book is the same, but I'm a little bothered by the giant red squares. It's distracting. It's something that obviously not the artist intended to be there because, you know, they create the art and then someone does the overlay. And to me, this is a distracting overlay that detracts from what is underneath. I like the humongous looming tower of the two towers here. I enjoy the sprawling city of Minas Tirith. But my eye isn't pulled to the art. It's distracted by these tremendous rectangles. That's a negative. So for me, it drags what is possibly some of the greatest art there down to an A tier because I have to force myself to look beyond something that was done in the cover design that I do not appreciate. Okay, I pulled in some clear movie-inspired ones, but I just wanted to make an example of here's how to do a movie-inspired cover right. It's an iconic moment, and it's done and transformed artistically enough that I recognize it from the movie, but then again, it's not just a lazy effort to get people to buy based off an actor's face. It's having confidence in the movie in a sense where it's like, here's a iconic shot we know has permeated culture to the point where you will recognize it. Awesome. Buy the book off that. I can live with that. So I'm going to leave it in C because I just do not like movie-inspired ones that much, but it's a pretty decent one. I'm going to put it above the beige. Now we have Alan Lee's third entry, I believe here, again with less distracting rectangles, thank you, and a new interpretation for Fellowship and Return of the King with the massive tower returning for two towers. This one is probably Alan Lee's second best or maybe best. I don't know. I have a hard time deciding which between this one and the first Alan Lee I brought up I like the most. Correct me if these are not all three Alan Lee, but I think they are. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this right there, probably tied, honestly. Actually, God, if I'm being perfectly honest, I'm going to put him above Tolkien's original art. I love Tolkien's original art, don't get me wrong, but on a beauty level for a cover. those ones take the cake. Like, let's just be honest here. These ones are interesting because it feels like they're trying to be epic, and yet they somehow landed being boring, which is not something I thought I would ever see. I do not like them very much, and I'm going to go ahead and leave them probably down here in the C tier. I just do not enjoy them. I think it's like, oh, they're trying to have these mighty towers, and it's just, I don't know, it doesn't really work. It's a failed execution of a concept, and I think there's a pretty obvious example of that. If you disagree, sorry. And then we have Hurried Gandalf. I found this online. I've never seen this in person. I just like this illustration for Lord of the Rings. Gandalf seems quite motivated. Like he's on his way to paddle a naughty hobbit. That was the thing I just said. I'm gonna put them probably like right here in A. I don't know. A Gandalf-focused cover is going to get brownie points for me. I also just like the action. It's not just standard, you know, people sitting around. He's going somewhere. It evokes a sense of adventure. He's moving on, starting, and as he is starting, we are ending. That was the last Lord of the Rings cover we will be ranking here today. Let me know what you think of these. Let me know your favorite Lord of the Rings cover of all the ones I showed here in the comments down below, and your least favorite. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.